All right.
All right. Oh, that was good, huh?
It's a good segue to what I want to talk about.
Welcome to TGE, the podcast. Today's episode is going to be about a very special movie for me, so I'm excited. Hopefully won't fuck it up. It's Primer or Primer? Tyler, what is it? Primer or Primer?
I've always thought it was Primer, but now I don't know. There's so many mysteries to the film. Maybe this is another one that's untapped.
Yeah, I also always say Primer, but I've heard other people call it Primer, so I'm really insecure about it. So that's what we're going to do today. But before we do, let's talk a little bit about this podcast. You usually tell us what we do at the beginning. Maybe you can do it again.
Well, you usually say what the podcast is also.
I do, yeah. It's a podcast about film editing specifically, but we kind of often go off on tangents and talk about the movie or some other things. But we try to really make it about one specific scene, something iconic, where we take away something that potentially we could use as a kick in the butt and say, oh, this is something that somebody did that's really good. Let's steal it. Let's use it for ourselves. And maybe the audience does that too. That'd be the best. I want to have a comment from one audience member that says, oh, you know what? You talked about movie X, and I just used that in my short, and it was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, editing is kind of the receptacle where everything ends up, so you kind of have to be thinking about everything. But I never think about it as like stealing stuff, but it's good to dissect techniques and what people are doing so you can apply it to your own work. We'd like to thank you for listening. If you enjoy what you're hearing, please subscribe to the podcast. You can now have your iPhone do that for you simply by saying, Siri, subscribe to this podcast. Likewise, you can subscribe to us on Stitcher, Spotify, and anywhere your podcasts can be listened to. We are there. And you said, all right at the beginning, Sven, joking around. But it's interesting because I wanted to get ahead of this. I saw the movie Beach Bum this weekend, the new Harmony Korine film. And Martin Lawrence, it stars Matthew McConaughey as this character Moondog, who's, like a quasi-successful writer who is definitely married into wealth and is just living the ultimate fantasy of McConaughey's, and Martin Lawrence co-ops his all right for a moment. So I thought of it, but it'll be interesting to talk about and get people's reactions to, because I saw it with an editor, and they were bothered by the editing of the film because it's very similar to Breathless in the way that it's done in terms of discontinuity. Apparently the film's not getting like great reviews, whatever. I'm like I'm a big Harmony Korine fan, and I think this is like very true to his style. I think there's a lot of great valuable things about it, including the editing, but there are scenes where characters are, finishing a sentence in like a different part of the room or a different part of the golf course or whatever it might be. There's continuity is widely abandoned for certain parts of it. And I just thought it was interesting how this is celebrated in films and taught in films like Breathless. I'm interested in this new climate with the reaction to Bohemian Rhapsody, which Sven made me swear off of speaking of ever again, what the reaction will be, because this is an art film by all standards, but it has stars in it, and it is being given a sort of larger release. It feels like on its opening weekend, it's in like AMC theaters and stuff. So it'll be curious to hear the reaction of people going thinking they're seeing a star-studded McConaughey, Jonah Hill, Martin Lawrence vehicle with Isla Fisher and Snoop Dogg to discover it's something very, very, very challengingly different that's taking some gambles. So I just, would recommend it from my point of view, and I'm curious to see how it is received given people are much more conscious about editing now. Will there be a takedown of it on Twitter, on YouTube, that's easily refutable by saying, hold on, let's look at Breathless. They're doing the exact same thing.
Refutable. I don't know, dude.
Oh, I refute it all. But yeah, it's interesting now with this consciousness about editing. So let's see what happens next week.
Nice. Well, I can't wait to see it. I guess I have to go to the theaters again. Jeez.
Well, Sven only goes to the theaters if there's reaction from the listeners. So, don't go just because I said, let's see what kind of reaction there is to it. And then you can find your way if you've been summoned.
Well, it sounds like we're going to be talking about it next week, so I'll make sure I watch it. I'm a big fan of Harmony Korine. I actually
Oh, good.
Really enjoyed Spring Breakers, and that's maybe a movie we should be talking about.
I saw this film at the AMC right near you in Burbank, so I feel kind of bad.
Oh,
I didn't invite you
should
now.
have called, yeah. Are we not
Shit.
friends? What's going on?
I don't know, man.
Well,
You said you wanted more arguments in this podcast, so...
Oh, okay. I didn't say that. I'm just saying whenever it happens, I love it.
Oh, whoops.
How are things going otherwise? How's your week?
Great.
I'm asking
We're recording this right ahead of this being released.
Yeah, I'm asking so that you ask me in return as well. So go ahead, sorry.
How was your week, Sven?
Well, thanks for asking. I just finished cutting the first rough cut of the movie that I'm working on. And so the entire movie is done in rough cut form, 97 minutes. And I feel very accomplished. It's always like the heavy lifting of doing that first cut. It's somewhat tedious and painful. I mean, I do like it, but you really have to, like, every day, you have to, like, it's almost like a marathon. You just got to keep running. You got to keep running. And you got to do another scene. You got to do another 10 minutes this week. And now I can really, like, relax and address some notes and then just watch the movie and watch it a couple of times and then start playing with it. So that's really awesome. What's really awesome as well is that the director is coming into town next week, and I've been cutting this feature online, basically, for Patreon members, and they get to meet the director next week, and they get to ask questions, and we'll have, like, a little Q&A session with them. So I'm looking forward to that.
Very cool. Speaking of time and the time it takes to do this stuff, you want to talk about Primer, Sven?
Yeah, let's do it. Primer it's really a movie for me where it has a fascination that keeps on giving. I feel like this is the kind of film I need to see like every few years again, and then I go off on a journey of trying to refigure out how this whole thing works. Like the whole plot is so intriguing yet confusing. And I always feel like I almost understand it, and I'm listening to all the different interpretations, and then by the time I get around watching it again, I completely forgot about it, and I'm starting over again. It feels like a loop, like that Bill Murray movie. What's it called? Groundhog Day.
Groundhog Day. Yeah.
So Primer is my Groundhog Day. How about you?
My Groundhog Day is Live, Die, and Repeat with Tom Cruise.
Oh, okay.
Directed by Doug Liman. Just gives the action version of Groundhog Day. No, my experience with Primer. Yeah, I saw it. I thought it was great, and it's the other thing about it is that it's this indie film.
Yeah.
That's so inspirational to so many indie filmmakers. Because he really just made it, in Texas just by the bootstraps, and it went on to get, some festival success. And then subsequently has just become this cult hit, and then was followed up years and years and years later with Upstream Color. So he's kind of like this iconic, reclusive director that's just dropping these indies on you every few years. And if you ever get a chance, if you want an experience, read his script, A Topiary, which you can find online. It's infamous for, in films that haven't been made. I think it's over 300 pages long, and it's quite an interesting thing that he wrote that's very, 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 very genre pushing for science fiction, and apparently had interest from Fincher and Cameron to make at some point.
Wow. I could see that.
So yeah.
That's cool. Well, for the listeners who don't know what Primer is, it's a 2004 American science fiction film about the accidental discovery of time travel. The film was written, directed, produced, edited, and scored by Shane Carruth. Is that how you pronounce it? Who also stars. Primer is of note for its extremely low-budget, experimental plot structure, philosophical implications, and complex technical dialogue, with Carruth, a college graduate with a degree in mathematics and a former engineer, chose not to simplify for the sake of the audience. The film collected the Grand Jury Prize at the 2004 Sundance Film Festival, before securing a limited release in the United States and has since gained a cult following. And the scene that we're going to look at, I think, is a great example of this sort of intentionally confusing the audience and just being comfortable with the fact that this is a movie that just works based on intrigue. That's sort of my take on that opening scene. I remember when I saw it the first time, that dialogue just flew right over me. I had no idea what they were talking about. And I was just looking at almost like the visuals, like, what is this? And
right,
it just went downhill from there. But super intriguing, like constantly trying to figure out what the story is and kind of understanding what's happening, but not really.
Right. Yeah, I guess that's an interesting take on it, because I guess there is like a little bit of frustration to it that was never a problem to me. It just made it more interesting to me.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing. And like, you're not really frustrated, which most of the time you would be, right? If you're confused, then you're get turned off by the movie. But here it feels like confusion helps the film.
Yeah, and it's interesting to figure out what's driving it and so forth and so on, and when that hooks in. And you could just study this entire film in terms of that, but
yeah.
We'll start with just the one scene.
Yeah, let's start with this one scene, and hopefully you'll develop a taste for it. And if you haven't seen it, you want to see it right now. So what do we usually do, Tyler?
Well, usually, Sven, what we do is we count down, and on the word click, that is when we hit play. The YouTube link will be available to you wherever you are watching this. So if you would like to watch along with us, please do. If you would like to listen along, that's just as enjoyable. If you're in your car, you're jogging, whatever it is you might be doing, continue listening. But if you're interested in kind of seeing our commentary and thoughts in sync with image, you can just hit when we say click.
Nice. Well done. All right. You ready to do it? Okay, here we go. This is the opening scene of Primer. In 3, 2, 1. All right, we're seeing a logo, which I'm not sure if it's actually part of the movie. Let's assume it is. And then it's dark. We're 9 seconds in, and suddenly, like, this light comes on. It's this fluorescent light, which kind of signifies a little bit the lighting of this entire film. The garage door opens, and more light comes into the room. I love this shot. I love both shots. There are two guys walking outside into the garage. There are two guys inside. They're wearing ties. Looks like they're either really seriously working on this or they just came from work. And this is like an after-hours job. There's a voice that we don't know who that is. It's like a phone recording that's giving somebody instructions. Lots of inserts of like some form of computer technology, some boards, some really like low-grade computers. I mean, this is 2004, but the computers look like they're from the 90s.
Yeah. And it's fun because there's not a lot of explaining, and like Sven said, it can be ubiquitous and confusing, but you are just constantly, what they're talking about is confusing, but you're constantly being given visual information. So you're learning all this stuff. Like, oh, we have, this is just an out-of-the-garage operation, which reminds you of the invention of, early computers and stuff like that. They're obviously technical people. They work in a office environment. Maybe they're IT geeks, IBM guys, whatever it is. They're rolling their sleeves up. It's after work. They do this on their own time. And it's highly technical, whatever it is. And now we're kind of seeing this weird mailing aspect, which is the first really big question mark as to what the hell's going on.
Yeah, there's this conversation going on that you really need to listen to if you even want to have a chance of understanding what they're talking about. But it seems like there's a conflict between these four guys. Two guys want to do one thing. They wear the same colored shirts, and the other two guys, they have like a, khaki-looking. They
khaki.
Seem to want to do something else. So they're arguing about this, how they're going to keep pursuing this project or the several projects that they're working on while they're mailing out like these low-grade computer cards.
Mm-hmm.
And this scene actually reminded me a little bit about Tarantino's first movie. Tell me, what is it called?
Reservoir Dogs.
Yes, like that scene in the restaurant.
Right, you have guys in ties, talking, kind of going around the table. So it's a little reminiscent of that, but achieving a different thing, I would say, for reasons I kind of noticed watching it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, this is not like they're talking about whether you should tip somebody. They're talking about something where we feel like we're listening in on some scheme.
Right, they're like doing some mailing to people. They're like outsourcing, stuff like that.
Interesting white shot here where we see them on the right side arguing. And then through the door, another door, we see like the wife or girlfriend of one of them just like cleaning up the kitchen.
And
So
the big thing that sticks out to me about this scene is that I know exactly, whose house it is, just from the way it's been shot, even though that information has never been shared.
Okay, whose is it? The blonde guy or the brown-haired guy?
To me, the way everything's been set up is and we'll talk about it in a second at the end of the scene, but it's very clearly, I mean, the director's in the scene, right?
Yeah. Is he on the right, the brown-haired guy?
No, he's the guy. So the scene just ended. Like, if you look at to me, it's a really cool example of introducing a character as the main character, without having any information in the scene, as kind of establishing that or clarifying it. I'd really have to look at it again to be clear. But specifically, if you look at when we start seeing them at 122, and then especially getting to the way it wraps around at 133, even though we're not seeing his face at 2 minutes exactly, we have a shot with him kind of in the center of the frame, giving him like in a subconscious way, like everything else in this film, it is giving him like an added weight. And of course, the cynic in me questions whether this is just because he's the director. So there's that narcissism, like, oh, let's weight it towards me. I know I'm the important one. But that would probably be done with any lead character. But it's just, I realized rewatching it subconsciously, it's like, oh, this really, I know that this is his film right now, whether I realize it or not.
I think that's a giveaway too.
Story.
At 2:10, 12, 13, 14, he turns towards the camera and he's looking at his girlfriend or wife. I think that defines this is his house as well.
Right. So it's just kind of like the presence without playing it too hard. It's like a really cool subconscious way of like having that.
Yeah, this is amazing.
Presence.
I mean, in terms of the filmmaking, the visual storytelling, this is pure cinema. And for a first-time filmmaker, incredible.
And then the other thing you notice right after he's been established at 226, what do we see? We reveal as it plays that he has a wedding ring on that hand.
Yeah, good
and
one.
It's almost like we don't catch it. So there's just like, that's very, very Carruth to just be hammering information into your head without you necessarily realizing it.
Yeah, for sure. There's somewhere in this a line where it says something like, we're just working with the stuff that we have and making the best out of it. Maybe we can find that line again. But it kind of signifies what this movie is, too, right? He's working with what he has, and he's making it significantly more than what it is. Like the lighting is usually, this is like the worst kind of lighting you could have in a movie. And he just embracing these fluorescent lights everywhere and then just made this really interesting grade on it. Which makes it look really futuristic in a way, or like dystopian in a way.
Yeah. I find myself questioning, so this was in the early 2000s?
Yeah, 2004.
So this is post Fight Club and obviously very, very, very kind of Fincher influenced, I would dare say, because I know the cinematography in that film was kind of boundary pushing for what it was, and I think this is very, very much inspired by that.
If I remember correctly, this was shot with a DV cam. I might be wrong, but I remember
Upstream Color was shot with the G4.
Yeah, this is like a Canon XL1 or something. So like really almost, I think it might be SD. And
oh yeah, those cameras, that's, or if it was HD, it was like 720. I remember
like HDV,
like getting the Canon was like our digital camera, and it's like, oh wow, thanks.
But it looks amazing
in this film.
Yeah, it looks. It just adds to it.
Yeah, and a lot of people had access to that camera, so to get this look out of it says a lot.
That camera you can buy for like $150 nowadays, I'm sure.
No, yeah, but I saw a lot of stuff that did not look good made with that.
Let's
and
look
made
at
a lot of it.
Let's look at this transition at 119. So we are in the garage. There's lots of inserts, and then there's the slow dissolve. It starts like at 114, 117, and he just pulled like some paper away, and he like agitated this. What do you call this little guy that is like bouncing back and forth?
Like the bobble thing?
Yeah, this egg that is like a stand-up thing. What do you think that means?
Man, geez, Sven, you lured me into this interrogation.
Yeah, it means something. I have no idea what it is. But
immediately, it tells me immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately, it tells me that we're dealing with, kind of guys that are still boys at heart. That still have toys around the. So in terms of immediate perception as an audience member, there's that, and then as someone who understands the film, what it becomes, where it goes, there can be deeper and deeper connotation.
Yeah, it could also be like an office gadget, like a little. What nowadays it would be a fidget spinner, right? Something you just hold in your hand while you're working on the computer and play with.
Yes. Yeah, and we still need to do this guy edits fidget spinners, but it's almost like a Russian doll looking thing, which would actually be very telling because there's a very Russian doll aspect to this whole story. So, and for all I know, it appears 50 more times in the movie because I'm just not that familiar with it right now.
Yeah, I'm not either. But it's a really interesting transition from the garage, this slow dissolve, and then into a dolly shot around the table. And I don't even know if in Reservoir Dogs there were dolly shots, but I feel like the scene is like an homage to it.
And that's the difference I was gonna draw, is that in Reservoir Dogs it was very cool. It had like these shots. He just had this kind of circular dolly wrapping around the characters, introducing them all as we went. Maybe we should look at that scene. 'Cause the way it's edited and stuff is very cool. Yeah, let's do it next week. On the passes and stuff.
Oh, great. So I have 2 weeks to see that.
Because you could cut and change.
But then the dolly stops, which is interesting.
It's in theaters.
Right? Like in Reservoir Dog, I would assume then it just keeps on going for a while.
Well, right. That's what I was saying is, although the director is in both of those scenes, this one stops on the director from behind because he's the main character. Yeah. And it's a dolly shot that is ended on a certain character, gives weight obviously to that character,
and then it comes back for a moment after it has that break in there to give weight. We're going across the room and we're doing another dolly shot, and then after that we're basically in inserts for the rest of the scene, where we just sort of see these computer cards being put into bubble wrap and then into packages sent off. And we have no idea why they're sending these off. I mean, it seems like they're selling one of their first, like, generation one of whatever they're developed. Well,
I thought they were, I mean, there's two. I mean, I had a slightly different read on it, that they were sending something to get help from people or see if they got a hit back or something, like to see if they were like sending it to people to see if they're getting like a hit back or something like that. I don't know, but more importantly, what it is in this whole scene is like a series of kind of lean forward moments, as Norm Holland would say, right? Where you're just constantly like, oh, wait, what? And you're just being given these tidbits that are kind of bringing you in more and more. So I think it's effective in engaging and not giving you all the information, which makes it a lot of fun for a low budget movie like this to kind of have that, okay, I just want to know more. What are they up to? I know it seems important to them. They're doing it on their own time. They're serious. They're focused. So I think that's a cool thing about the scene. And the other thing I will point out, like, you're given a lot of information and no answers. The other thing I'll point out that I thought was interesting, that goes to that broader point about it establishing the character by doing everything you would instinctually do the opposite of to do that. 259 is the only characters that really get tighter shots, medium close-ups, are neither of the two main characters. It's these two other guys. And yet, they get the tighter shots, which you think, if this was a Bradley Cooper movie or something like that, he's going to get that shot right off, saying a line. So it's like, okay, this is our guy. This is who we're talking to. This is what I paid for in that case. So it's kind of an interesting way to kind of defy the expectation with that and have it work really effectively, to know like, oh, they have the tighter shots, but also these aren't the main characters.
Yeah, that's true. Which could be a Fincher move in a way where you're like misleading the audience as a misdirect, or it's just like here we're not really. Maybe there is no concept to this. It has a certain rawness to it. Then we go to this wide shot right after that closer dolly shot where we see the wife on the left side in a door frame and the group of people on the right side in a door frame. That kind of gives us another moment of pause and really breaks up the scene, and then we go to a high angle shot that we haven't used yet before.
Right.
To get us
Where
back
the
into
thing is,
this
I would,
conflict.
yeah, and I would say that was it doesn't feel like a misdirect to me, purely because I think it's very intentional that we're, as an audience, understanding this is the guy with the weight in the scenes. It doesn't seem like we're being misled, like, oh, this is this movie. It just seems like even though they have the tighter shots, they're not as important.
Yeah, yeah. And then the final shot sort of in this particular scene is the two main guys are in the foreground. This is at 3:38. They're still looking over the paperwork and the last packages that still need to be mailed. They look very frustrated. And the other two guys are being led out of the room by the wife in the background through the door frame. There's lots of layers to the shot. And if I remember correctly, we don't really see the other guys again. And
perhaps not.
At this point, I thought this is going to be a story about these four people and their conflict of like trying to keep this company together. And it's not. Right. It's completely not. It's about these two guys that stumble upon this time machine or cloning device by mistake, and then what they do with it. And
yeah.
You don't know at this point what the movie is about, and you won't know for a while. But
right. And do we ever find out why the fridge is gift wrapped?
Why the what?
Why the refrigerator is like gift wrapped? Like there's so many things in it. Watching it, like, oh wait, this is information. What's going on here? What's going?
Oh, that's interesting.
And like, and the incredibly like, there's something about the lighting, like the it's like just a great way of like constantly revealing new things. Like after we introduce him and he looks back at the wife, we go to the shot at 2:17 of just this weird overhead lighting they have, where it's like, what is this sci-fi? Like, what's going on?
Maybe this is like, I mean, this is the first time I'm seeing this gift wrap refrigerator. It's at 3:46, but maybe this is he gave her this as a present because he's working so hard that he's barely there, and this is like his guilt present.
Yeah. Well, the fun thing about the gift wrap fridge is, it doesn't reveal itself until.
That's great. That's awesome. I'm glad you found that. I'm sure there are many of these little shots in there where you just have to like go frame by frame. To me, this reads like, okay, he gave her, wifey, this fridge as a present because he feels guilty because he's working so hard he doesn't have any time for her. That's my interpretation.
But no, I mean, maybe, but it's also kind of would then show that he's a bit of a selfish guy because it's like, hey, honey, here's something to like keep food cool for me in. Whatever it means. Maybe
we
they're
can
doing
relate
well
to
in their
that, right?
lives.
We've been there. Like we're always working too much and we always feel guilty. Maybe
Go
you
on.
don't. I do.
Go on.
No, that's it. I'm done.
We're getting to the heart of this guy.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we should really listen to some of the dialogue because it's super confusing and intriguing at the same time. So hopefully we didn't talk over everything. But yeah, it's a cool scene. I was super intrigued. I love the fact that this movie was done for nothing and looks so great, and the storytelling is so mysterious. And I just checked on IMDb. It has like 88,000 votes. So that it's like that's huge for an indie. I don't know what the budget is. 10,000, 15,000, something really, really, really low.
Wow.
And just a guy who wrote a script and said, I'm going to just shoot this with my friends. And that's my first film. Incredible.
Yeah. Also, but yeah, so it's great inspiration in what you can do with the low budget with like less than desirable camera to be working with and all that, how you can make the camera, shoot it for that camera.
Yeah,
it's all good. And, and this is a movie that definitely rewards a deep, 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 deep dive. So we didn't do our diligence and rewatch it, which probably would have been nice to help out with our understanding of the scene. But that's why we depend on our wonderful community here to give us a little feedback. Hop on the comment boards, share what you think about the film, your insights, how the dialogue relates to everything that happens later, how the refrigerator relates to everything that happens later, how the little bobble man relates to things. Let us know. And where do they do that, Sven?
I guess they can do that at thisguyedits.com/comment.
Very cool. And if you enjoy what you're hearing, please let a friend know about the podcast. I mean, we appreciate the spreading of the word, the growing listens, and we can't do it without you. Thank you to Curta for the music. And as Sven always says,
Happy holidays.
whoa.
There's no sane zone, so put your head between the speakers. There's no sane zone, so put your head between the speakers.
He's looking at that gift wrap a little too hard. What's the holiday? April Fools?
I guess it's Christmas. Maybe it looks Christmassy over there.
So this is where Sven and I are realizing that we're going to do a April Fool's joke at the beginning of the podcast.
Nice.
Oh, shit, it doesn't matter because it's going to go at the end of April Fool's. All right, never mind. All right.